Hello, my name is David Robertson, and I have the great good fortune to be the guest conducting the Seoul Philharmonic Orchestra this week. Welcome to all of the audience. In this program, we have two masterpieces of French musical culture, one by Debussy and one by Maurice Ravel. And the interesting thing about them is that they both are looking at foreign countries. They both have a Spanish connection. Ravel was first with Rapsodie espagnole, and he wanted everyone to know this because in one of the movements, he originally wrote it for two pianos in 1895. And because Debussy was working on his Image for orchestra, which has Iberia, the movement dedicated to the Iberian Peninsula and Spain, Ravel wanted it to be very clear that he was not plagiarizing Debussy. Debussy didn't really seem to mind, and I don't know in the end whether Ravel did. But they both take the ideas of sort of Spanish culture, the kinds of dances that have been inspired by flamenco, and write them for orchestra in ways that make the orchestra very brilliant. The Rapsodie espagnole of Ravel, which closes the program, starts out in a way that's very mysterious. It could be darkness, we don't know quite what's happening, and all of a sudden things seem to emerge. Then we have a malagueña, which is connected up to the dances from Malaga, but really only in idea, not in reality, because the dance is somewhat different. We then get a habanera, where it's clearly late afternoon and the sun is bearing down, so everyone is slightly tired, and he even asks the orchestra to play in a rather drowsy rhythm. So it's very good to rehearse this right after lunch. And then we have a last movement, which is clearly the festival, and everyone is having a great time. Debussy takes a slightly different tact, and in his Image, in fact, there are three pieces: Gigue, Ronde de Printemps, and Iberia. For those who are sticklers on detail, they were published Gigue, Iberia, Ronde de Printemps. But that means that we would go from Great Britain down to Spain and then back to France. And this just seems needless travel. So we go from Gigue to Ronde de Printemps across the English Channel and then down to Spain for the final number. Each one of these takes aspects of folk music first from the British Isles with the Gigue. It's based on Keel Row, the folk song. Then we get to France, where there are a couple of different folk songs, including one that's actually a lullaby. Do, do, do l'enfant. And he brings all of this into a wonderful sort of round dance that one imagines in springtime. At the end, then, we finish with Iberia, which has three movements. One which is in 3/8 and very excitable, has in the middle a different kind of marching rhythm, and then it closes very quietly, and then we have the perfume of the night, les parfums de la nuit. And at this moment, then, all of a sudden, it's that kind of magic that happens when the heat of the day is gone, and people come out and enjoy the sounds and the smells and perfumes of nighttime life. But of course, the sun then comes up, and in the last movement, the march, we hear from far away, gradually getting closer, a band, and pretty soon everyone is involved with having a very exciting time dancing around. One of the nice things about working with the Seoul Philharmonic Orchestra, and it's my first time, is just how good everyone is. And so they are very quick. Sometimes as a conductor, you have the diplomatic difficulty of having to say the same thing 4 different times and 4 different ways, because no one likes to hear the same thing over and over again. We know this from our children. When we say, no, don't do this, we have to say it a different way. With this orchestra, I could say it once, and when I see that people have understood, we're good. The other thing that's nice is that they are very good at reading your hands. So when you show something with the hand, you immediately hear the result, and then you can refine what it is you are getting. They also seem to like my jokes, which is very good. That makes a conductor feel good. Even if they don't like them, they pretend to like them. So they are very friendly people, and I'm looking forward very much to making the concert with them. I'm very glad to have Pierre-Laurent Aimard as my soloist, because we have been playing together so long that I don't want to tell you. But one of the first times we played together was actually not with a contemporary music piece by Ligeti or anything else. It was a piano concerto by Salieri, actually his second piano concerto. And Pierre-Laurent Aimard was wonderfully improvising a cadenza. And normally when one improvises a cadenza, one hears, and he said, so here's how I will finish the cadenza. And so I learned how that was. And the improvisation he was making was so beautiful, and I was listening to it, and he was getting slower and slower and slower, and I thought, that's very interesting that he has a, oh my goodness, I'm supposed to come in. And so then that, I brought the orchestra in, but the smile that he gave me when I looked back at him as if to say, I'm so sorry, it was too beautiful, and I was just in a dream, was priceless. And it cemented our friendship ever afterwards. And I think he is one of the pianists with whom I have done the most different concertos with. We have done Beethoven, we have done Brahms, we have done Mozart, we have done premieres by people, all sorts of different pieces. And it is wonderful then to be able to join him again on the Ligeti, of which I think he is really one of the best proponents in the world. I think this is a really important concert for you not to miss, for a couple of reasons. You won't hear any pianist play the Ligeti better than Pierre-Laurent does. So if you're a little worried, what is the Ligeti like? At least you know you are getting the very best that there is. Then the Debussy Image for orchestra, also not played very often, and so much more interesting to listen to in a real acoustic rather than on your stereo system or your earbuds. And then finally, the kind of fun that the orchestra has at the end of the Ravel Rapsodie espagnole is something that no one should miss. Also because you might think that Ravel is excessive with a big orchestra and lots of percussion, but he only uses the tam-tam once in the whole piece, and I will let you try to figure out where that is. You can't miss it, but only if you come to the concert.